So while you and I were detaching from the literal insane asylum that the radical left was trying to turn social media into, these people went full-on lunatic over the last couple of days. You see, one of the reasons that many of us believe that the Department of Justice was hesitant to release all of the Epstein files is because the people that had control of those files for almost a decade had dropped a giant amount of crap into the files so that you don't know what's real and what's not real. And some of that stuff got released on the 22nd, 23rd. And some of the biggest lying, fraud, insincere monsters on social media are running with it.
He participated regularly in paying money to force me to have sex with him, and he was present when my uncle murdered my newborn child and disposed of it in Lake Michigan. 13-year-old. Who are they talking about? He's on the right. You would think that this is big enough for MAGA conservatives, regular conservatives, to stand up and say, okay, that's enough. This is enough now. We should probably do something about it.
Oh, we are going to do something about it. Because now that Christmas is over and we get to re-engage, we're going to show the world that the lying fraudster hobbits are again lying to you. Did you notice that he only showed you one of the 4 documents that were part of this drop right here? The part where Donald Trump's name is mentioned by this anonymous tipster that happened to call the FBI right before the 2020 election. Did you notice that he only showed this? Why do you think he did that? Well, he did it because he didn't want you to see the timeline that this anonymous tipster that happened to call the FBI right before the 2020 election provided. Did you notice here that she was talking about being trafficked by her uncle and Jeffrey Epstein in 1984 when she was 13? You see, and one of the things the FBI does when they investigate these tips is they go look at timelines. 1984 is an interesting one. And in fact, it lays out here that the timeline was between May and September of 1984. That's when this person alleges that Donald Trump was present when Jeffrey Epstein and her uncle threw her newborn child into Lake Michigan in 1984. There's just one major problem with this timeline. And this is probably the reason why The Hobbit decided to hide it from you. There is not one single piece of information in the public record today that indicates that Epstein and Trump knew each other back in 1984 when this anonymous tipster said that Trump was present when her newborn child was thrown into the lake. Not one piece of information that says they knew each other in 1984. In fact, the earliest that you can place the beginning of their friendship is a statement that Donald Trump gave back in 2002, in which he said that he'd known Jeffrey for about 15 years. So the earliest could maybe be 1987, but it wasn't until 1992 when the very first picture of Trump and Epstein in public together emerged. 1992. And what's worse is The Hobbit would have you believe that the people who should take control of Congress and ultimately the White House are people that we actually know were involved with Jeffrey Epstein after they knew about the things he was doing with young kids. Because Stacey Plaskett, for example, will probably be the person that will take over things like the Oversight Committee. And we now know that Stacey Plaskett was actually engaged in conversation, texting with Jeffrey Epstein very recently in congressional testimony. And The Hobbit would be okay with someone like her taking over that committee. Or Catherine Rumler, Obama's fixer, the White House chief counsel, who would undoubtedly be involved in the next Democrat administration. The Hobbit would be okay with someone like her, who had a very close personal friendship with Jeffrey Epstein up until the day that he died. The Hobbit would be fine with her being in a position of power in the next Democrat administration. So yeah, we're going to do something about it. Instead of taking information out of context and pretending that it says something that it doesn't, we're actually going to investigate it. We're going to research it. And we're going to find out what the truth behind the crap that these people put inside the Epstein files when they had control of it for a decade.